I'll call a special Lakeview Town Council special meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. We don't have a very big agenda tonight. We have one item. It's a finance resolution. Ray, would you like to explain that?
Sure. Well, as we get towards the end of the year, actually our auditor would tell us before we have overspent a line item that we should be transferring money to it. But you know, it's really hard to figure out when you're going to do that until after you've already done it and you look at the report. So it always happens this way. But we, as you know, have a contingency in our general fund, and each of our departments in our general fund, we attempt to make sure that they are not in the negative as we go at the end of the year. And the departments in general fund are, of course, town hall, police, fire, planning, and air quality. And this year, the item that is over budget as we speak is air quality. And the reason that it is that this last year, as you remember, the school district purchased and gave to us, in a sense, the reader board that's down at the fire station, and we paid for the installation of it, and we didn't plan for that. So we need to transfer contingency funds to cover that in the amount of $5,500 that will bring air quality into the positive. And the other one that we didn't anticipate was that we were going to have to replace, because of programming primarily, the computers in the police department. And the cost of those computers was, we had $1,000 in the budget, and the cost of them was about $6,900 and a little over. So by transferring $6,000 there, we will brought that line up to the amount it should be, and then overall the police budget should also be in positive. So those two transfers are the ones that I can identify, at least here at the end of the year, that we need to make. So as we do the audit, there may be others and other funds, but I think this will take care of general fund anyway. So that's the reason for them, and this still leaves, we had $27,000 in our contingency roughly, so this still leaves in the neighborhood of $16,000 there.
Any questions or comments from the council? I would entertain a motion.
What is the resolution number?
881.
I move that we approve resolution number 881 in the matter of making budget transfers from general fund contingency for fiscal year 2014-2015.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 881 in the matter of making budget transfers from general fund contingency for the fiscal year 2014-2015. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimous.
I would like to, before we go anywhere or adjourn or whatever, just say I wanted to say thank you, Mayor Patrick. This is it. You're down to the last few minutes almost, but I really have enjoyed the years that I've had the opportunity to be at the town and work with you as a councilor and as mayor. We've had an excellent opportunity to have a good council. Everybody works well together, and I think you've had the pleasure, I think, in your career of having that as well as I have, and I just want to tell you I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I have really very much enjoyed the job of the mayor, as councilman and the mayor, and I've enjoyed working with all of you, and Ray, and our new staff. We've got this new staff in town hall, and I was looking forward to getting to know them and work with them. But the short time you've been there, it's been a real pleasure. I've enjoyed all this, and I'll miss you all. I really will. So.
Well, we will miss you, and it will be hard to find a replacement that handles the job with as much enthusiasm.
Well, thank you.
Is your kilt available for long?
Yeah, and on special occasions. Okay, any other business before the council?
Yeah, it's not, I didn't put it on the agenda, but I just gave you a piece of paper for your information, for your review. It's laying out in front, Mike. That's, we talked at our last meeting about putting something in our next water bill, which will come out before we have another council meeting. And, something like this is kind of what I was thinking in mind. I ran across an idea about kits for saving water. There may be, I think I got the spelling mistakes that Amy pointed out to me. And not that we maybe got them all, but this is kind of a thought I had about sending some information out to people to conserve water as we go on into the summer. I'd probably put this on a green sheet of paper since it's a conservation thing, maybe on a red one to stop, pay attention, but probably, anyway, colored paper that would get people's attention. So if you have any suggestions, other ideas, things you want me to add to it that I've missed, let me know.
So it's pretty inclusive.
It's got a lot of good information.
I talked to a couple of people that I saw watering in the middle of the day in the heat, and I said, we're asking people to voluntarily cut back, and this is one of the things that we're asking people not to do. And they said, well, we just kept forgetting to water. This was the post office. And I said, well, I understand, and nobody said anything to you about it now, but, maybe you could set it a little differently, and I'm not nagging you or anything, I'm just telling you that's what we're gonna be doing.
Another one that I see quite a bit around that, and I do it once in a while, but I pay more attention than I used to is, especially when you don't use sprinklers that are set to just water your yard, is overspraying onto the sidewalks or the driveway or out into the curbs, and you'll see a stream of water running down.
17.
And, I'd rather just have a little bit of brown edge that I didn't quite get wet than try to make this curb grow, because they just don't.
Well,
That wastes an awful lot of water, it really
It
does.
does.
I guess my only
Sure.
thing is being a little negative about how much water we're ever gonna have in the future is that unless there's a major interruption of service, it appears we'll be able to meet the normal demand. I don't know if we can really promise that.
I wondered about that.
Maybe we should just
Leave that part out.
leave that sentence
Yeah,
off.
Okay.
Anybody else have an opinion about that? I mean, I really worry about
Well,
it.
this is food for thought.
That's some good information, yeah, that's,
Are you going to have a final draft at the next council meeting then? Or?
We're just go out before the next council meeting. It would, our next meeting's the 14th, and so this will go out, around the end of next week.
I don't.
I think it's great.
It's just-
I'll look
we're not
at
ordering
massage that a
anybody, just
little bit,
suggestions.
Sandy.
so.
I think you got a good idea. We don't want to lead people to believe that, everything's normal and we can just go on about business as usual. Maybe necessarily we really would like to a little more
A little more-
urgency to it. than that.
Yeah,
I'll just tell you a little water story, and I'm a tree hugger, and it's a story, but I'll tell you something that happened at our church, St. Luke's, and you all know, probably have seen the Lombardi poplars, I believe is what they're called, behind the church. They rode behind the church in the alleyway. And ever since I've been here, they've been big, strong, and powerful trees, but they, in the last couple of years, because of the drought, have suffered, and the church actually punished them a little more. We had a massive water leak, I guess, going for several years. The basement was always flooded, and so it kept dumped through the grounds with the submersible pumping it out on the yard, kept the trees well supplied with water. But with the drought lately, a lot of them have actually, I think they're gone. But there was one that Pac Power wanted to come in and cut down recently, and I have been visiting with them quite in depth. And they sent their supervisor over after several confrontations, and their area forester came from western Oregon and looked them over. They wanted to cut the tree back considerably, but when they came back after I put the water to it, and I felt bad because we had had the discussion. I went out and soaked them all night for several nights, and so they came, and the local forester came over, and she said, no, they're looking dead still. But then by the time that the team that was here to cut, I said, okay, the local forester said you'll only bring down, dead limbs from the tree down. So y'all go up, if everything comes down, you drop on the ground. If it's dead, I have no problem with that. And they went up there and there was just very few branches that they were able to take down because the tree actually had gotten some water and it did look, but even their local forest had said that, it's a goner. And so, if you see people watering trees, there's maybe some reason behind it.
Yeah.
Those have a lot of history.
Another example, those are easy to see there. I wasn't aware of
Popping that out on the, yeah.
But if you notice out at Western Villa, there's a bunch of, they're not the same kind of poplar, similar kind of poplar tree. And with the improvements that they've done over the years of the drainage at the fairgrounds and with the drought, those trees
They're starting to suffer now.
they really look, they really need, they're gonna have to do some branches onto some houses and stuff out there if they don't do something with them. And I think it's related to,
well, and
those trees need a lot of water.
they do, and that's
Yeah.
something the church is gonna need to do and because of the situation but I think that's, what's going on with a lot of situations where people are trying to save things around because the drought's been taking its toll on a lot of vegetation in our community. So, yeah.
Okay, any other discussion?
I guess I have a
All right.
question.
Pardon?
I guess I have a question concerning appointment, election, or for whatever, for an interim or for someone to just take his place.
A question about process?
Yeah. And I think that John mentioned the other day that he was going to be looking into it and things like that.
He is. I got him, Amy made copies of the process that we went through when Rick Watson
Mhm.
resigned before the end of his term and Mike took over, so I got those to John. And, your charter, your town charter, which I can make another copy and put in your box if you wanted it. It really doesn't say very much. It just says that the council shall appoint, may appoint. I can't remember whether it says shall or may. Because I know that when from reading the notes, what happened, we're kind of off of the agenda, but
Yeah.
what happened, historically, what
This is
happened.
public comment.
When Rick Watson resigned it was in June. He was about 7 months from the end of his term. He was up for election that November, or the position was. You didn't fill the position, I guess, I don't recall all this. Well, I see some of the things that Sandy signed as council president during that time, and so you decided in June, I guess, of that year that you wouldn't fill a position, but whomever was elected mayor in the election that fall would then be appointed mayor pro tem for the last month, after the election till the end of the year, and until he became officially sworn in as mayor. So that was a shorter period of time. So.
I have a year and a half left on mine, and in order to keep the election cycle, 3 and 2 the way it's supposed to be, it'll have to be an interim mayor for year 6.
Plus, if we keep only 4, we could have problems with
Quorum.
quorum, and not only a quorum, but, a tie vote on different things.
I think John is
Won't get
preparing to
settled.
provide you with some advice at your meeting on the
14th.
On the 14th. So in the meantime, for a period of time, however long you 4 remaining decide, however you go about doing that, we'll make it
And
work.
then, on the off chance, say Sandy was appointed mayor pro tem, or whatever you want to call it, then do we then go to the public with asking for letters of interest, or do we just,
I think that's what
is
they,
that what we've done?
that's how I got on
That's-
anyway, yeah, when
We've
someone.
replaced
something like that.
council members that way.
I think you get to make up the process is kind of what
Well,
it
I
amounts
think
to.
there was letters that you had to, when I did it anyway, all those years ago, my memory may fail me, but,
Not until you're through over there.
I'd submitted a letter, and then there was an interview process also.
See, that was before my time, but I know since I've been here, Michael.
was before
and
all of our
Mike Michael and Mike both started as appointees.
Yeah,
On the council, we've never,
voted by the council, so.
yeah, we haven't had, we didn't do that with regards to the mayor, the only time, which was, you know, Rick resigned in June of 2008, I think it was. I thought it was in
I can't
27,
believe
but
we
it
had
was
him for 3
2008.
years.
Pardon?
I didn't think we had him for 3 years.
About 3.5 years.
Who?
Rick
Rick.
Watson.
Yeah, he was just 6 months short of filling his 4 years, so.
So, in the meantime, your council president will conduct your meetings, what we will be until we, you know, one of the things that we'll need to do is change signature cards. What we won't do is for the period of time, is Mike simply obviously won't be signing any checks or any documents. So it'll be the rest of you four that we'll have to call on to do that when we need to. And then, as we develop, you know, the council from going forward, then we'll have to redo those bank cards and various things that we have to, all the places that we have need to have official signatures, who they are, so. And the other option would be, of course, he could decide not to resign. We would let him
Yeah,
withdraw.
we would be okay with that.
Let you keep your balloons though.
You what?
You can keep balloons, you can maybe decide.
No, that's okay, I'll keep the balloons, but I'll still retire.
So anyway,
Okay, anything else before the council?
Well, I
No,
have one
thank you.
other
One other
suggestion on
thing,
the
okay.
water.
Taking out the water.
Yeah, back to that. I mean, well, number one, we're asking people to conserve water, but telling them we don't have a problem with it. So, anyway, it's also following our 20 suggested conservation measures, we ask you to apply to your daily use.
What? Which one?
Missed that.
Following our 20 suggested, third paragraph, conservation measures, we ask you to apply to your daily use and not to just consider.
I would change that last sentence, you know, she said, Sandy commented that we don't want them to think that everything's normal, but it might be, you know, after, what have we had? And how many years of drought have we faced?
4.
This is a
depends
3 or
on who's
4.
counting and how.
After the last few years of drought, we know it is potentially a serious problem, so we're hoping you will voluntarily apply this to
I'll
your daily
rewrite that a
lives.
little bit,
Yeah.
you know,
You know
because
what
we
I
are in
mean?
uncharted territory. You know,
Yeah.
we got,
Oh,
the
yeah.
irrigation company is turning off the water today on the west side.
Yeah.
So anybody who has wells who have been irrigating, you know, flood irrigating or pumping out of the ditch are now going to be using other sources and not irrigating. So I think that's a different scenario than we've had before.
Yeah,
So you got more pumping going on the aquifer that we also depend on, although we're separated from it somewhat. For the most part, it's, we
I
don't know
just-
what that impact might be.
I just think we have to give them the message that it could be serious, and if we start now, maybe we can avoid the worst.
I'll rework that and stick
Okay.
it back in your guys' box if you get a chance to look at it, or I'll email it to you. See if-
Email it to
I'll
us
do
and
it.
we
I'll
can
do
do
this.
that.
I'll email it to you.
I wonder if you could send a separate letter to like the administration office at the schools and to the administrator at the hospital, because they, I'm sure, don't even see their water bills, but they are the biggest users, and I don't know about the hospital so much, but the schools seem to use.
They both
Wait,
use a
I mean,
lot.
I went by there
And,
one day at 4 o'clock and the daily school sprinklers were on. I walked down that street the next morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they were on again.
Or
Or
still,
Or
still.
still, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they were on all night. The street wasn't flooded or anything, but, you know, that's not good.
And with the new soccer field being
It's
turfed.
gonna take a lot of
See,
water.
and I can understand that they need to, you know, they've got to protect the investment in all that turf that's down there now that they hauled in.
But this was on grass.
They can
no,
let some of the
are
other
they
go.
planting their trees? Is it a
I haven't-
suggestion we can make that they don't plant the trees this year?
You know, I'll talk to them about that. You know,
Because
I think Sandy's idea of a personal letter to the superintendents would be
I can
Just call it.
Well,
yeah.
or flyers, we could
I
even.
mean, that's
do
the
some
one
flyers
subject
to
that
put
more
out.
people have asked me about recently
Mhm.
than any other matter
Mhm.
that the council's talked about,
Yeah.
that is, are we gonna have enough water? And so I think, you know, to put a little bit of a scare, I guess, into them.
Well, it's a caution, you should,
Yeah.
you know, you should know.
Quality
Having
of
a
water,
drought
although
isn't-
it meets low drinking water standards, you know, it deteriorates the more we have to pump.
Yeah.
You know, and the deeper we have to pump, the, you know, the quality suffers, so. I
Okay.
will work on it some more. Anyway, we got a good start.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
really good plan.
all right,
I will now adjourn
I-
these.
go ahead.
Oh, okay. I will now adjourn the special session of the town council at 4:20. Thank you all.